Hey guys, I'm Erik Perkins. Welcome to our YouTube channel about construction stuff. This is the second video in a series of videos about flooring, and this one's going to be about how we prep for installing hardwood floors. Very important. If you're going to do that, you do the prep work. On this project, we are installing a 4¼ inch wide by 3/4 inch solid hardwood. It's white oak with a natural finish, that means no stain, and it has a matte finish, which means it's not shiny. I think shiny floors are a lot harder to keep clean looking, especially if you have kids. So to avoid future problems on our hardwood flooring on our projects that we install ourselves, we go through great measures to make sure that the prep work is done right and as good as it can be before we lay the hardwood down over the subfloor, because once you've covered it, it's hard to get back to it to fix any problems with the framing or anything else. It's covered, done. All right, step number one is to make sure you have good framing. You have to have a good flat floor to start with. You can't have joists that are crowned up and some crowned down and expect to have a flat floor in the finish. So that's number one. If you didn't frame the house yourself, you may have to go underneath the floor system and add secondary joists to joists that are crowned up or down to help bring them flat with the rest of them. All right, let me mention that I think a good practice for attaching the subfloor to the joists is to glue it and screw it. Do both, and that way you're double protected from squeaks. All right, step number two is we make laps around the floor. We jump up and down, we stomp, we walk. We just check for squeaks and creaks before we put the tar paper down, and if we find any, we fix them. All right, step number three is a step that I bet most people, probably 99% of contractors, totally skip, and that is to take a long level or a straight edge and check for humps in the floor. And if you find one, what we do is we mark it with a pencil and then come back with a planer and plane those humps down so that they're flat, okay? And this is like, you ever heard that story, The Princess and the Pea? Like you can feel a little teeny hump. That's how it is with hardwood floors. Let me mention that I use what I think is the best brand of subfloor, that is Advantech subflooring, and they're not paying me to say this, but maybe they will someday. So this stuff is not supposed to swell on the edges at all in the weather, but it does, just a little bit, but it's enough to give you hollow spots underneath your flooring between it and your subfloor, especially on cut edges that are exposed to the weather for a little bit of time. All right, step number four, this is an easy one. We just go around the whole floor checking to make sure there's no fasteners like screws that are actually sticking proud of the floor. If there is, we sink them in. Okay, number five, we take a scraper. Really, we have two different kinds of scrapers that we take, and we scrape the entire floor, top to bottom, every inch of it to get up any scuzz that's left from the drywall, the paint, or from us just getting it dirty. All right, step number six is we sweep and vacuum the floor thoroughly. You want to get it really clean because any dirt you don't get up will be in the house forever, like permanently at this point. All right, let me mention a cool thing that Jamie always does to our shop vac attachments to make vacuuming hard floors easier, because sometimes you get so much suction you can't move the vacuum attachment. He always drills a few holes in there to lessen the suction by just a little, and this actually makes it work a lot better on floors like this. All right, we're almost done here. Step number seven is that we lay down 15-pound roofing felt on the floor and we butt the edges tight. We don't overlap them, and some people may want to argue whether this is good or not, but I've found that if you do lap the joints, that does make a thicker area on the floor, which makes a hump, which you're trying not to do. So we very carefully butt the joints really tight. I do want to mention that I've used other types of underlayment, maybe more specifically made for hardwood floors, but I just like the 15-pound felt the best. All right, here's a good one and a good tip for you. Make sure you take a mental note of where your floor registers are for your heat and air. What I've done in the past a few times over the years is roll that tar paper out, forget to cut out where the floor register was, and then it just disappeared and I floored right over it, only to realize later it was missing and I had to find it and cut it out. Where's Ray Ray? All right, here's a super important step. Number 8 is to check the wood flooring and the subflooring with a moisture meter. I like to check that the subfloor and the wood floor are no more than 3% different from each other, and I checked them yesterday. One was 5 and one was 8. We'll check them again today, and we'll basically let this wood sit in here and acclimate. I do want to mention that it is good practice to let your flooring material acclimate to the room it's going to be installed in for at least 24 hours minimum, sometimes a lot longer. And it's also a great idea if you can have the heat and air on to have a controlled environment, controlled temp and humidity. That is a great idea as well. All right, thanks for checking out our video today. I hope it was helpful for you. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and you'll get more videos about construction stuff and flooring.